Hello, and thank you for checking out this Uniquely Divine Conversations podcast. I am Caryn Slack, the owner of Unique Beauty and Meditation.
And I'm Danielle Graham from Divine Clarity. We are here together sharing conversations about spirituality, life, and everything in between.
And we are grateful for your comments and your shares and your subscribes so that we can continue to have these conversations. And just as a reminder, take what resonates and leave what doesn't. These are conversations about our life and our experiences. And yeah, yours could be different, and that's okay. So check out this episode and enjoy. In-person versus virtual sessions. That is our conversation for today. And I feel like I got a lot of fresh awareness of this in my life. So hello, Danielle. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. And yourself, as if we don't already know, you didn't give us a little clue already.
It's actually, today is going well. Part of what we are experiencing this week is my kids are remote learning this week. And there's a part of it that feels familiar and good to have them home. But there is a part of it that is a struggle because there's a lot of virtual stuff going on. And allowing all of that virtual stuff to happen at once, I actually today appreciate the structure of an in-person session, whether it's a session, I know this isn't what we offer, but whether it's a session at school or our services, I do appreciate the structure of an in-person session. Mm-hmm. But virtual does offer for flexibility. So we're figuring that out today.
It's a blessing and a curse.
Absolutely.
In so many ways. Normally I find it a blessing. Yesterday, a curse. There's a balance.
Absolutely. Yes. Yesterday, I felt like everything was happening at once, and I just didn't have the boundaries in the space to figure things out smoothly. And we experienced some glitches within a virtual session. We sat down and had a conversation earlier in the week and recorded it for this video podcast, me and Danielle did. And we had some issues with the Zoom, and we had some issues with technology. And here we are having a new, fresh, casual conversation. And so I think that there's good things about virtual that we get to celebrate. And there's, of course, challenges. So that's kind of what we're talking about today.
Yeah. So what prompted this conversation for me anyway, to bring it up to you, was that I feel like so many people are reaching out now for in-person. The way I do my work has always been on phone, not always Zoom, but most recently, and in person. But I feel like the in-person is really ramped up. I don't know if it's because of the time of year and people are really looking for guidance for this year. Or is it because, we had such little contact and then we got into it again? And now for some of us here, it's winter and the numbers are kind of rising and we're getting less contact again. I don't know, but I have been getting a lot of requests for in-person and just explaining to people that energy is energy, and energy can be felt at any time, at any place, no matter where you are. So that's a conversation I've been having a lot with people. How about you?
Yeah. Absolutely. I feel like a lot of my intuitive services have been virtual from the get-go, at least for the past year or so. I've been dedicating to this spiritual work more. And within that, a lot of them, so it kind of was almost virtual from the beginning with this new platform let me back up. I closed my salon. I was home with my girls. I've been home and I'm working from home doing these intuitive services. So when I made that life shift, the virtual visit was how it happened from the beginning. I've done in-person visits before, but I guess I appreciate the smoothness of making the virtual visit the primary from the beginning. I haven't necessarily had to have that conversation that you have. But I have enjoyed exploring the energetics within a virtual visit, and exploring doing Reiki in a virtual visit, in a meditation in a virtual visit, in a reading in a virtual visit, and getting to know how that looks and feels for me and for my client, and helping them understand, like you said, as well as myself, that it gets to still be a powerful connection. And I
Right.
guess in a lot of places, in a lot of different platforms, we've learned that we can still connect one-on-one without having to necessarily be in person.
Right. You brought up a great point that I didn't think of before just now, but a lot of us have had to close down other businesses, primary businesses, secondary businesses. You were doing hair, not something that you can transition to virtually. I was doing restorative personal training, and I did try the virtual platform for, gosh, probably about 7 or 8 months. And it was okay in the beginning, calling my clients with Zoom and trying to train them while I'm sitting here with a piece of paper in my hand and I'm watching their dog go by the camera and the connection's bad and the phone falls and I can see their head, but I can't see their feet, or I can see their feet, but I can't see their head. And that got to be such a hassle for me that it was no longer bringing me joy. And I knew it was time to stop. So I never even thought of that virtual option being out there, but it being a little joyless and not being something I wanted to continue. So I was really happy that it did not affect this job, my spiritual job, in any way.
Absolutely. Hold on 1 second. The joys of virtual session, realizing things as you go that are not set up from the beginning. I love, like you mentioned in yours, the virtual sessions that aren't necessarily that things like hair and what you were doing that can't fit into a virtual session, and the process that we have so many virtual sessions that are not necessarily fun, be it school or doctor's office or what have you. I love that there gets to be virtual sessions that are fun
Yeah.
and that do bring some beautiful experiences to a virtual format. So it's not all a struggle. And I think it accents the notion that we have all been working on learning over the past 2 years, focusing on what supports us and being gracious and forgiving and letting go that which doesn't. And I feel like everybody's doing that on a different level. And I feel like welcoming in the beautiful services that support us virtually is a good form of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially the part about learning how to let go, let go of the notion of how a session is supposed to go or should go. I don't know. I mean, to me, we've talked about this so many times. I think it brings the realness and the fun into a session. Sometimes the formality can feel a little stiff or even bring a little anxiety in, but I think the realness of virtual really helps us break some ice and calm some nerves.
Absolutely.
I know you have a lot more going on in your household than I do. I mean, mine's usually just the dog whining to come in or out, or, I've not had internet now and again, but I don't really have too many interruptions or too much chaos going on when I do it. So I don't know. I kind of like to see it. Sometimes my clients do. Sometimes their kids are running in and their dogs are going crazy and the cat's climbing up on the table. And I don't know. I embrace that. I embrace the realness. I think it just makes it more comfortable and fun.
Yeah. And that realness we've seen, like just now, closing the door and turning my music off. I had meditation music in the background. Normally, I'd have that on during a service. Mm-hmm. But now virtually, if Danielle's talking and the Zoom is picking up my music, it's going to showcase me listening to her talk. And that's not what we want to do. And my daughter playing in the background or my husband's pager, that stuff happens. It's funny. I actually had a reading with a client, and she was talking about how, like, right before we started to do the meditation or what have you, how the snowplow was going by. And I had to laugh because we get to have those noises and still be spiritual. We get to have those noises and still have that good experience. And I think it, like you said, it's real. And when we are embracing our spirituality, working through grief or stuck points or meditating or focusing on our energy, that happens in real life. So why not let the services happen in real life? And even like the newscasters, when everybody was shut down, you saw people that are usually presented perfectly on a stage
Mhm.
in their own homes, and it made the world feel like a smaller place.
That's very, very true. There was a point I wanted to bring up, and now I can't remember what you said. I should have wrote it down. Here we are with the realness of it all. Oh, the spirituality, like bringing that realness into spirituality. That's something totally off subject, but not. But spirituality should be us, we should be spiritual beings 24 hours a day. Sometimes it's a little more, sometimes it's a little less. But yeah, that realness is totally part of our spirituality. And
Absolutely.
who we are and what makes us up.
And in the moments when we feel less spiritual, that's part of what makes us our whole. Those what we perceive as less spiritual moments are just as important as the moments we feel like we are truly connected and spiritual. Yeah.
Those ego moments.
Yep.
Our ego gets a bad rap all the time. It is not a bad thing. That's our human experience.
No, it isn't. No. I do appreciate how virtual sessions I feel like it has taught me to ask my little one, but also taught my little one to, and I guess all of us, it has taught all of us to be respectful of other people's space and other people's projects. And that she, like, now, okay, mommy's going to do some work. You're doing your thing. If it's okay to come in, but you need to be respectful. You can't just come barreling in yelling or in, like, if she's doing her schoolwork and she's listening to a story, she looked at me and said, "Shh, Mommy, you got to be quiet because I'm not muted." So it teaches us all to be respectful of other people's projects and boundaries in life. And I think that's kind of an offshoot. That's kind of cool with it.
All right. I love that. I absolutely love that. I love that you're teaching your little ones boundaries and they're respecting and honoring their own boundaries. It's fabulous. It also, I love the opportunity it's granted all of us to just so easily be in touch with people anywhere in the world. Maybe if in person was a higher priority or higher option right now, people wouldn't think to reach across to another country for an intuitive service or spiritual service. And now it's like we're Zooming everything. So why not? Why not check out somebody in another country, have a reading, have a Reiki session? I've had Reiki from people across the world before. And, at first, especially with Reiki, because it's always been such an in-person thing in my experience, but a friend of mine told me she was going to send it to me when I was sleeping. And I was like, She's like, what better time to receive? You're open, you're not getting in your own way. And I was like, oh, wow. And it was a really amazing experience. It absolutely made a difference in my feeling. So I am all about virtual spiritual sessions. Like I said, energy is energy. I've experienced it on both ends, as a sitter, as a client, as a provider. And
very cool.
Yeah, it just works on both ends for me.
Very cool. Yeah, I have two thoughts with that. I would love to touch on the virtual energy session thing. But first, I also want to talk about the notion of intention with a virtual visit. And I think that there's an intention. You have to set your intentions and your own boundaries for where you want to do the virtual visit and what energy you are willing to welcome for your virtual visit. If you sign up for a virtual spiritual visit, be it reading or meditation or what have you, and you're sitting in your living room with your dogs jumping and your kids yelling and you're half focused, you're not going to receive from that what you're looking to receive. So there is responsibility as the person sitting down to receive the service, that you set the intention. And we can do that by finding a quiet space, by being cozy, and by honoring that, like that night you sat down and you went to sleep and you had Reiki, you had that intention in your mind that, I'm open to receive Reiki tonight. And just setting that intention allowed you to open up your energy. And I think there's something that's important when you are investing in a virtual service through one of us or through another practitioner or yoga or whatever. Set the intention both physically within your space and within your heart and your mind to fully receive that. And I think that teaches us boundaries in our life too, teaches us to, you know what, I'm honoring myself with this care. And it teaches us that that virtual doesn't have to be negative all the time.
Right. And that goes, and I know you meant this, but it goes for the professional as well, for the provider as well, to have this intentional space. We try to create that peaceful, calm energy, quiet environment so that we can have that air of professionalism still while we're sitting in our little spaces in our homes. But if the realness happens, it happens. But the intention is to still set this wonderful place to do this work.
Mm-hmm. And that professionalism that I know we both, excuse me, I know that we both like to bring to the table with our virtual sessions, the professionalism of, I set the intention with my whole environment. I have the music, I have my candle, I have, what I want in the background. So if I set that as a professional, that comes across in my service, and mm-hmm. the individual sitting with me honors that I'm bringing my full self to their service. And I fully agree with what you said. Absolutely. Right. And it makes people more comfortable, and they're able to be more vulnerable. And
right. Yeah, we talked about that before too, being able to be in your own space and your own energy and your own environment and not worrying about what's going on at your house while you're out. That allows the sitter, the client, whatever you want to call them, to be able to relax a little, to take a breath a little, to not be as anxious, to be more receptive.
Absolutely. One of the things, kind of getting back to the virtual Reiki sessions, that I noticed was I wasn't ready to give Reiki up. Reiki, in my experience, has always been primarily an in-person experience. And that when you learn it and when you receive it, a lot of people feel like it's better to do it in person. It's almost like there's more of a sacred experience when you do it in person. And I wasn't ready to give up that experience with my clients or for myself. So I had to figure out how to do it virtually and how to make it still a good energetic experience. And I found myself, my energy work that I do, the unique energy sessions that I offer, are a blend of Reiki and inner light energy techniques. So I found myself incorporating the guided meditations that I use in with those techniques to create a guided energetic experience. And I often ask clients or I recommend to clients, find a place that you're able to be comfortable with. If you want to rest, lay down. If you want to sit comfortably in a chair, you can sit comfortably in a chair, but do it in a space that means comfort and security to you. And, come in your comfies and bring a blanket and whatever makes you feel cozy so that you are calm within your energy. And then we move through the session. And I find that when they do that, I feel like it not only influences their energy, but the energy of the space that they're in. Mm. So that a space that means comfort for them now also has that Reiki energy work within it. And the more they visit that space and do that session in that space, the more it gets to be like a safe, sacred space for them to go to.
Right. Oh, I love that. So I have a question, or I don't know, kind of a comment. I want to comment on an experience I actually had with you that I thought of. So I'm sure I know people have said it to me, but I don't know if people have actually said this to you because you do this, but meditations, like virtual meditations. So I've heard, well, why don't I just, like put one on television, put one on YouTube? It's the same thing. It is so not the same thing. I will tell you, I love guided meditations. I've done tons on YouTube, but when I did it with you, that one particular time I'm thinking of, where you were walking me through a guided meditation, it was so personalized, and I can almost feel you stop and feel the energy to see what needs to come next, if that makes sense at all. It's not a one size fits all is what I'm trying to say. It's like as if you could feel the energy between the two of us, and we're guided to say what you needed to say for me in particular at that moment next. And that's just, I think that's what makes the virtual option beautiful as opposed to a pre-recorded, which in their own right are fabulous as well. But that having that virtual, the connection between the two of us made a huge difference for me.
Absolutely. And I love that moment where I get to experience a client's energy and help them witness that energy. Hold that for 1 second. Come on in.
Experience the realness.
I know. Hold my thought because I don't know if she can open the door. Can you get the door open? I'm sorry. Hold that thought 1 second.
It's all good. It's all good. We should have some hold music playing.
Ava. Hold on, Danielle. I'm pausing this for a second and we're going to splice it. Okay. So thank you. While I stepped out for a second. I appreciate the ability to, like, that's that moment where I get to witness somebody's energy and help them witness their own energy. Like, that is a bit of the natural high as to why I do this. Like, that right there, I really enjoy those moments. And I love, like with Reiki, okay, let's use where you are. If there's noises in the background, let's use that. Put that as part of your meditation. And
yes, you did that to me. Oh, sorry to interrupt you, but you did that to me. And I was like, oh, that wasn't annoying because you put it right in there. Yes, I remember that now. Sorry.
And no, I appreciate using life to help you connect with that. And life doesn't always happen beautifully and smoothly. Neither does our spirituality. When we can incorporate them together, I think, I don't know. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, well, yes. But what I love too is I think that practicing that helps so that when I'm sitting in meditation and I'm not listening to a guided meditation, I don't have you here with me, and I'm trying to sit and be quiet with my own stillness, and the FedEx truck starts beeping down my driveway, that doesn't throw me for a loop. So that you doing that has definitely helped me practice staying in the moment, even when the moment is all over the place. I appreciate that.
Admittedly, that's something that I had to figure out for myself too, along in my own practice. And I remember sitting in a Reiki session once, and the practitioner's dog was barking, and I was hyper focused on the dog barking, and I wasn't able to focus on my own work. And shortly after that, part of the process of my meditation work that I felt drawn to was to, okay, meditate in the living room and let that happen, let life happen around me. And I think that virtual sessions help us figure that out a little bit, or a bit of a lesson in that.
Oh, definitely. We're learning. Yeah, we're learning all the time. But I love that you took that challenge and you were challenged by it. You were like, let's do this. Let's make this work. I love that you took it that way.
That. And I think there's something beautiful about being able to, kind of getting back to how you mentioned connecting with people around the world. I actually couldn't participate live, but I participated in a recording of a sound bath recently. And I wasn't able to be, obviously I wasn't, because it's a couple states away. So I couldn't be there in person. And it may not be something that I know that's available around me. And I couldn't be there virtually. But because of all this virtual stuff that we've gotten into, having the recorded option is more readily available. And I was able to do that. And I was able to do it last night when I fell asleep at 12:30 in the morning. Well, 12:30 at night, whatever you want to call that time. I was able to do it then. Whereas before we entered this virtual plateau format frontier, it wouldn't have been something that I would have thought about. So I think there is a beauty with allowing those beautiful things virtually too.
Yeah, and allows us to participate in the spirituality and the process of someone else. I love seeing different people here in person when that was more of an option for me, to see the way they work, to feel the way they work. And now we're allowed to do that with everyone all over the world. I just think it's such a cool gift when you think about it. And you allow for the little the little mishaps that might happen as well. But yeah.
Do you feel like, as a practitioner yourself, being able to work in your home environment has expanded your abilities or taking your abilities in a different direction than usual?
Oh, that's interesting. Well, the way I work is I connect with my client's energy. Once we make that arrangement, we set a date, we have that energetic connection already, that permission for me to check in with their energy. And I usually do that before a session. And I sit with their energy for an hour, however long that takes. So I have put a lot of work into it before we actually meet. So whether I'm meeting them in person, whether I'm on the phone with them, or whether we're Zoom, I've already got the same information from them. When it's mediumship, I ask for a picture. When it's guidance, I have cards pulled out. And then we have a connection again once we're together. Right before our call or our meeting, I sit and connect with the energy again. And realness. And then we proceed with our session together. So it really hasn't changed a whole lot for me. The only thing that I find is, the way I have to have them pull cards. I'll tell them how many cards I'm holding in my hand and tell me when to stop shuffling, and give me 3 numbers or 1 number, how many ever cards I want them to pull. That's been a little challenging. And just the people who want that one-on-one connection. Someone I'm seeing next week told me he prefers in person because seeing the person in front of him makes it more real for him. And I get that. And, for that reason, I'm really glad that Zoom is an option as opposed to just phone or even email or messenger. So at least we will have that face-to-face connection for both of us. And I like it too.
Absolutely. And I appreciate the goal for in person. You know what I mean? Like, I would love to, in an ideal world, have a combination of in-person and virtual services, because there is, I don't want to discredit that in-person experience, because there's a lot of people that, if they're virtual all week, they simply don't want to be virtual they're not able to figure that out energetically.
Right.
We, of course, encourage everybody to try it and to work on figuring it out, or work on trying it out, not figuring it out, trying it out. And that we are here to support you in trying that out. But I do appreciate the fact that it would be nice to have a blend of both.
Yeah.
But getting back to the notion of, has it changed us to do our services within our own space? I love that your process is still your process. And I love that you are able to connect with the energy beforehand. I think that completely honors a sacred stillness that you do with, okay, this is me and their energy, and that's it. Nothing else is going to become a filter or an influence on that experience. And then it becomes just a matter of you communicating what you experience. I'd have to say for myself, it has taught me to set boundaries. I would always go through and energetically clear my space, but I wouldn't always set specific boundaries for, this is the area I'm working in, and almost like an energetic tent. And now that I'm inside, this is my energy tent. And I do that when I do my work. And so I'd have to say that my ability to do that has grown. And the only other thing that it has helped me with my intuitive skills is to allow me to sit with and be my authentic self more.
Yeah, I like that. It allows time, it allows space, it honors that time and that space for you to be your authentic self. And when I connect with energy before, and you do a lot before you meet with people as well. I mean, look at the jewelry with intention that you make. You're sitting with these intentions without a client in front of you in this space, and it just, the energy just builds up in that area. Like you said, the tent, I love this. People have said to me, this is their favorite room in my house. They don't know why. I know why. The energy builds up in here. It's good in here. I purposely have things going, the salt lamp, the fountain, the diffuser, to bring that energy and clarify that energy in the space. So when I come in here, as opposed to the office that I work at, when I do in-persons, which is an amazing office, it's wonderful energy as well. But this is my space. I'm allowed to take my time. I'm allowed to be me. I'm allowed to sit in my pajamas with a cup of coffee and do it if I wanted to. So yeah, it allows for that comfort, I guess. And when you're comfortable, you open more.
Absolutely. And I think that speaks to virtual versus kind of life before virtual and life now. Before, I feel like so many of us in so much of life was lived outside of the home, and the home was what caught us at the end of the day. Whereas now I feel like life happens in the home and we share that with the world. So I think there's a more authentic flow and we're honoring our spaces more, which I think is a beautiful thing. And I love the notion of helping people find that within their home.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think virtual does that.
And I do think, we should mention too that virtual isn't for everyone, practitioner and client as well. And if that's not something the practitioner is open to, it doesn't discredit their service in any way, shape, or form. They just don't feel the connection is strong virtually, and that's okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is our conversations that we have about what we've experienced. But everybody is different. Every practitioner is different. Every client is different. And I've had some beautiful experiences in person as well, both with Reiki and meditation. And there is something beautiful about getting a group of people, a handful of people in a room, and all of them meditating in the same space with the same energy. There is something beautiful about that in-person experience. And I'm excited when we get to do that more.
Right. Yeah, me too.
So shall we draw some cards? Do what we do?
Been shuffling. I think we shall.
If you have not experienced the previous episode, which okay, we got to back up a little bit, and thank you to everybody who watched our first episode. Thank you for comments and subscribes and sharing and all of that. We truly appreciate that. Yeah.
Can we mention the woman who left the comment? Is that what you were going to say?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I would absolutely go ahead.
On the first episode, we realized that there was a live chat option where someone had said hello and asked us a question about sharing our journeys more. And we just wanted you to know we are not ignoring you. But once we saw the comment, they disappeared and we couldn't get back to you to reply. So if you'd like to reach out to us personally via our websites or our social media platforms, or even leaving a comment on this video, we will be happy to chat more with you. But we didn't want you to think that we just ignored it. Technical difficulties of going virtual.
Absolutely. And we encourage you to comment and react and subscribe and share this with a friend. We are very excited to offer these. And yeah, just keep helping us have these conversations. Let us know what you want to talk about.
If you have anything, we were both going to say the same thing. Are you psychic? We'd love for you to, put in the comments or talk to us about other things you'd like to learn about. Somebody reached out and they wanted to know more about crystals. Someone asked about what was shadow work last week. So if you have any questions, any ideas for topics, anything you want us to talk about, anything you want to talk with us about, let us know.
Cool. So me and Danielle each work with cards. She is well-versed in tarot, and I'm a little bit more, I guess oracle, I guess is what you would call them. I have a smattering of different decks, and we will each pull a card and share what we feel from it, and then maybe comment on each other's cards. So
yeah, that's good.
Go ahead, Danielle, you go first.
All right. So now that you said that I do more tarot, which I do, I actually used an oracle deck today. And I apologize because I do not know how to pronounce it. It's either Udi Art or Outi Art, OUTIART.com. I am so attracted to the artwork of this artist. This is the I Am Queen deck. I found it on vacation and I was like, yes. So the card I pulled for everyone here is the Queen of Self-Discovery. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
I love this. First of all, I read intuitively, so it's whatever stands out to me. I love that on almost all, if not all of her artwork, there is a door over the throat chakra. It's like, oh, it's just like the passageway to all the information, all the knowledge. That's like my favorite part of every card. And a third eye is also depicted. But the first thing that stood out to me in this card was the red, and it just screams root chakra. And the safety and the security there is when you do get into that journey of self-discovery. And sometimes it could be a little scary, but once you're in there, being able to stand in your power, there's no stronger foundation. I also love, it looks like trees that are growing up out of her crown chakra into this beautiful owl, which we all know is about the wisdom. So to me, this is divine wisdom. Once you reach that, well, do we ever reach full self-discovery? I'm not so sure. Once you embark on the journey of self-discovery, you start bringing in that divine wisdom and light and, gosh, just all the chakras are ringing out to me here. The throat chakra with all the blues, the heart chakra with the greens. It's just self-discovery opens you up to all sorts of worlds and all sorts of wisdom. And yes, the journey might be icky, but it's so empowering once you start.
Absolutely. I loved the hair on her and how the hair actually looks like it's roots to the trees, the tree from the top of her head. I love that. And I love that the light, the little sunlight happens in the middle of her discovery, so that there is light within your process, and that divine light is always there, always supporting you. And the owl sticks out, the owl meaning wisdom. And there's a strong power to an owl, and they just voice themselves through the night, and you can't see them, but you know they're there, and there's a grace and a power to their sound. And I love that.
I love that. There is a grace and a power to it. Love it.
Cool. So I am using the Soul's Journey deck by James Van Praagh. I love and actually encourage my clients at times to get a deck of their own, just an inspirational deck. It doesn't have to be an intense oracle spiritual deck. It can be just a deck that offers inspirations or words or what have you that you can use in your own spiritual practice. And you can shuffle them up, spread them out, pick one out, and just connect with what that card means for you. And if you know, what message is it telling you? If you've ever wanted to do anything like that, it's a good practice to get into to support that self-awareness. One last shuffle. Cool. We're going to go over here. So when I was shuffling this deck, I saw this card and I'm like, ooh, I want to pull that one. And I shuffled up again and I pulled that one.
All right. Meant to be.
The happiness card. That we've got the dolphins on there. There's cycles in life. Everything is a cycle. Everything has a pattern. You know, fall, spring, summer, fall, winter, spring, summer, fall, winter. Everything happens in cycles. But it's important for us as we move through these processes and as we move through these cycles that we have fun and that we find joy and we allow that happiness in our life. And it's this notion of happiness provides balance to those more intense moments has been a message that has popped up multiple times over the past since the beginning of the year. So having joy, finding happiness, being playful, all of that is very important to us. And it creates balance. It opens up our heart to celebrate love and abundance within our life. And it creates a more fluid connection with our truth and honors our ability to both experience and do the work. To honor his
back up.
Hang on, I just want to, there's a phrase, I want to honor his work. The affirmation he puts with it is, I am aware that being happy means that I am on the right path. And actually something you said to me at once, Danielle, is not that it's it's our right to experience happiness, but it's also our responsibility to experience happiness. And that has stuck with me. And I love that. Okay.
Yeah. I actually just wrote that down as one of the things I wanted to say. Not only are you allowed to be happy, but you are encouraged to be happy. And it's really hard because a lot of people are experiencing some high anxiety and some fear vibration. And you don't feel that and you want to feel happy, but you kind of feel guilty about being happy. Absolutely not. It is your responsibility to feel happy and find joy and happiness. And again, it's so funny that you are all about the colors, and I love hearing your definitions of what the colors mean to you. But those colors are sticking out, just like in this card with the greens and the blues. And it's like, it makes me want to feel happy with that green heart chakra, because that's healing, and speak happy with the blue throat chakra. And, you know, if you feel it and you speak it, you're going to be happy. I just love that card.
Absolutely. Very cool. Very cool. So any thoughts or anything you want to touch on before we finish up?
No, I think we're pretty good. Just that, if you're thinking about trying a session virtual with someone, talk to them, talk it out, ask, what are the benefits? What are the negatives? And make your own informed decision. But for me personally, and I do know you did say, a lot of people are doing everything Zoom. I forget about those people who are doing their 9 to 5 Zoom, and their kids are doing remote learning, and maybe they don't want to do other things Zoom. And I do understand that it could be taxing on people, but I also feel like, I kind of wanted to talk about that sound bath. I forgot. But I feel like doing one of these sessions, a spiritual session, something that will lift your vibration, lift your energy, will help. I just wanted to say quickly that a friend of mine does do sound baths, both virtually and in person and recorded. And I did not think, after experiencing my first one in person, that I would be affected by the recorded or the virtual. And they were both just as amazing. So I am very glad that I took part in that experience as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I actually think the sound bath that I participated in was from that same individual. Yeah. And I encourage, like you said, talk to the practitioner, ask about the session, ask them both about the benefits, but also what their process is.
Right.
And what your process should be to receive the most from that session. And yes, a lot of people are experiencing everything virtual. So maybe you get to plan something that is fun and nourishing and balancing with your virtual versus constant work. So, okay. So I think we are all set for the day then.
I think so. I think we talked about everything we wanted to talk about.
Very cool. So thank you very much for being with us. Thank you for sticking with us the whole time. And if you have any questions or want to share anything, let us know. And as always, comment, subscribe, click the notifications, and continue to have your uniquely divine conversations.